35 years in the UK rave scene. All the stories you hear about the football hooligans, gangsters, people taking over doors, found warehouse raves and found ecstasy, there was always trouble around. Promoting is the arse end of music. Promoting is the hardest part of the music game. My history and my passions for old school rave, acid house, jungle, heritage house music from 88, 89, 90s. I don't want to be that guy to say it was better back in our day. But we have got some killer tunes, mate. We would play the house, we'd play the acid house, we'd play the early breakbeat, we'd drop like a Balearic tune at the end of the set. We may even put like a Running Man hip-hop tune in. Yeah. We would play everything. Whether it's been in record deals with Ministry, putting on events at some of London's best clubs, the trouble that comes is part and parcel of it, right?
Banging these and having fun, drug scene then changed. What music genre really turned it into naughtiness in the clubs in London?
You're taking me right back here. We've just been all really happy about
No, but this is an important topic.
It's a really, really, really good question. So...
Billy, welcome to the show, mate.
Dodge.
We're finally here.
We are finally here talking.
Absolutely happy days, mate. Let's roll the way back. How have you ended up spending 35 years in the UK rave scene?
35 years in the UK rave scene. So I started out in a record shop in 1989 in the East End in Whitechapel, where all the stories you hear about the football hooligans who found warehouse raves and found ecstasy, Paul for Music in Whitechapel was the hub for that. All the Centreforce DJs shopped in there, all the Labyrinth DJs, all the Sunrise DJs. And across the road from this record shop that I worked in was the Labyrinth promoter. He lived in a block of flats, Joe, an old Tottenham man.
Yeah.
He run the infamous Warehouse Labyrinth raves. Yeah. He'd run them since 1988. And he walks in the record shop when I was 15 and I say, "Can I have a set at your club, mate?" And he says, "Yeah, all right." Yeah. I'm 15. I'm 15 years of age. And Joe Labyrinth, who's already mythical and legendary, fighting off gangsters in his warehouse parties, other football hooligans, he's from Tottenham. And all of a sudden, this man, he's saying, "Yeah, I love the records that you play in this shop. Come and play." So go to his club. This is 1990. Yeah. My dad takes me. Play, go in, a land of giants. And that was it. I was off. They made me resident every Friday and Saturday. And from that moment, I've never, ever looked back.
Amazing. Amazing. Give an example of a rave before it went into the nightclubs, the UK rave scene, outdoor. Just to explain to the listener or viewer out there who doesn't know about it.
Well, in those 88, 89 days, like I was young. So when I was in the record shop, Paul's for Music, I was very young. But the whole warehouse and the whole field rave thing was like this illegal cat and mouse thing where pirate radio stations like Centreforce and Sunrise, they would give out these phone numbers and this ambiguous, like, this rave is going to happen and you've got to phone up this number and there's the meeting point in the M25 at South Mim Services, or there's the meeting point over in King's Cross, and there'd be all these meeting points and like people throughout the night would be like going to places to get to these warehouses and get to these fields. And that was kind of like the birth of the British warehouse field rave scene way before the Super Club era, way before the commercialism of it all. And my point in time with Labyrinth, what makes it significant to me, what makes it significant to Labyrinth, also there were some other clubs around at the time like Rage with Groove Rider and Fabio. AWOL come a little bit later, like a year or so from Labyrinth in Dalston. You had Telepathy. There were certain clubs that when the old bill stopped the illegal raves of like 88, 89, in 1990, literally the press, Music Mag said, that's it. We knew acid house and rave was this thing that was going to die out. And in London, it was a very small, it went back into the underground clubs in areas that were scary, areas that were front lines that you wasn't really meant to go. And that's what made Labyrinth so magic in the heart of Dalston. You weren't meant to go there. And the warehouse scene had come to an end, and here was this den of iniquity that just created this legendary history that still to this day, when Labyrinth do a reunion party, people come out in their hordes because they remember what it meant.
Yeah. Amazing scenes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Early 90s. We're going into a club, it'd be like all of a sudden 6 a.m.
Oh,
sweat coming off there. You couldn't fill your bottle up with water. You had to go to the bar. It was a free for all, but it was just freedom. Yeah, people just found freedom of whatever age you were, whether you were 17 up to 40. You had freedom.
Yeah,
you know?
it was a different era, and do you know what the mad thing is? When they stopped the warehouse scene and when they stopped the field raves, and clubs started popping up like the Four Aces in Dalston, you had
Club UK and one's.
Well, Club UK was after. I'm talking from a London centric perspective because that's where my roots are. Yeah. But you had like Four Aces. It actually shut at 2 in 1990. You had Heaven with Rage that would shut at 2 on a Thursday night. You had Camden Palace on a Friday that would shut at 2, and clubs hadn't even started getting 4 a.m. licenses, let alone 6 a.m. licenses. And then in about 91, Four Aces, Turn Mills, Ministry hadn't even come along yet. Started getting 6 a.m. licenses, then things started getting 8 a.m. licenses, and it's hard to believe that.
It's hard to believe now for anyone listening to this who doesn't know that whole scene to go, we're not even got nightclubs at the minute.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That younger generation, we're talking about people used to go raving till 6, then you'd go day clubbing on Sunday afternoon till 11 till 4 in the afternoon again. And then people would get up and go to work on a Monday as if nothing's happened.
Mate, we used to it used to be like Rage on a Thursday. I would DJ at Labyrinth on a Friday and Saturday, and then there'd be after parties till like Sunday, Monday, and then if you had a job, you'd get up and go. You'd go work on the Monday morning, or call in sick on the Monday and turn up Tuesday, and you'd be up all weekend. Yeah, and they were magical times.
Absolutely,
they were magical, groundbreaking times in the UK. That are the roots and the starting foundation of dance music and the commerciality and the rules of dance music as we know them now. There was no rules. Yeah. For us lot, there were no rules. We lived for the weekend.
Tell me your first experience of taking your first E.
Right. My first experiences of E. Right. Right, my first experiences of ecstasy, full stop, right? Before I become resident at Labyrinth, I did a few like house parties and back rooms of pubs around Wood Green and Tottenham, where all my family were from. So that at 14, 15, I was seeing people popping pills, playing records, dancing in front of you, acid. Like, my first experience of ecstasy was at Labyrinth, and it involves my dad. So my dad used to take me to my gigs when I was younger. He used to take me to Labyrinth, and I hadn't even popped an E yet at this point. In my first like 3 or 4 weeks at Labyrinth, I'd never popped a pill. My dad was taking me, and I was up in the booth, and a big Rasta comes out and says to me, at the time, E's were 15 and 20 quid. They'd been 20 quid, then they went down to 15 quid. And this Rasta comes up to me and he says, you owe me 40 quid. And I'm like, really? I'm 15. I'm shitting myself. Like, where do I owe this geezer 40 quid? Your old man's had 2 pills off me. The old man had been taking me to Labyrinth and discovered the E's and discovered the music. And there was my old man by the speaker raving away. And I'm thinking, he was meant to just take me here, sit outside, wait for me to finish. And, yeah, that was my first experience of a drug dealer wanting E's, wanting money for E's, and it was for my dad. And then a little while after that, I discovered them as well. Yeah. Really young, like 15, I popped my first E.
Yeah. Double dropped?
on my first few goes, it was one, like, you know what it was like back in the day. When we was younger, we was a bit nervous, weren't we? Will this work? Won't it work? What will happen? Like, will I die? Won't I die? What's going to happen? And after a little while, then double dropped. Then maybe 3. And you get really engrossed in it, didn't you? And I was young, Dodge. I was thrown into that world. I mean, young. Yeah. Very, very young. Yeah. And when you've got a dad who decides that he likes it, and it was all like all the stories that you hear of the football hooligans doing raves, Joe Tottenham, Labyrinth, Phil Tottenham, Desire, they're the people who started me. They're the people who influenced me. They're the people who I learnt from. They're the people who like inspired me. So at 15 it was like, there you go, work all this out.
But that's why we've both been in the scene for nearly 30 years.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like promoters. You don't get many promoters. They come and go promoters. To still be on the scene 28 years later is a credit to what you've achieved over the years. Tell me when you first get into the DJ scene, when did you first start throwing parties, like proper parties?
Right, so promoting is... Now, other promoters might not want to hear this, or promoters who are coming into promoting might not understand what I'm about to say. But when you're a DJ and you walk in somewhere and you get paid to do something you love, when you're a producer or a remixer and you make music and it goes well and you get paid for doing something you love, on the entertainment side, we get easy money. Promoting is the arse end of music. Promoting is the hardest part of the music game, right? You have to put up, whether it's for 300 people, 3,000 people, a holiday abroad, a festival, it costs a lot of money to promote the music and promote the artist and promote the vibe that you want, right? It's hard work, grafting, getting the numbers in, right? So how I started promoting, so I'd been DJing 5 years, and in that first 5 years, it was just all about the music, living for the weekend. Then DJs started becoming a bit more savvy. Yeah. Because my era started in a time where there was no career mind for being a DJ. There was no plan. You didn't want to be a DJ, record label promoter, tour for your record label. Them rules weren't even out there. Yeah. And by the mid-90s, after playing for 5 years, I had a record label called GBT with my partner at the time, Rob. I ran it with a guy called Rob. And the label started doing tours all over the UK. And so we were, for the first time ever, we went into the arena of promoting. And I realised how hard it was compared to how easy my DJing had been over the years. Yeah, but the thing is,
like, as a promoter talking to a promoter and a DJ, you've got two sides of it. Yeah. You're getting your dollar for DJing, you turn up, thank you very much, couple £100.
Easy.
What is, thank you, I'll see you next week.
Easy.
As a promoter, you're taking all the risk.
The risk.
I love risk. But the rewards are massive if you nail it.
Right, let me tell you how I always say it to people, right? With promoting. It is the arse end of what we do. It's the most unforgiving thing of what we do, but it's the most important part of what we do. Because if we haven't got the live aspect, how do we play the music as it's meant to be played? Like we as dance music producers, our music needs to be heard in live situations. Us as DJs, there's no more buzz than people congregating together and getting on, and that whole meet up of people, that whole togetherness of people, that whole cohesion of people, like-minded people enjoying the same music or the same DJs or the same vibe. So for me, even though in all of the things that I've ever done in music, and that's writing books, releasing books, making music, releasing music, DJing, those things are creative, like they're easy to do. If you're a creative, that's the fun bit. All of the risk is in promoting, but promoting parties and having parties is the most important thing, because we don't make this music to be listened to at home. Now, all these years later, of course, especially the old music, it's a listening experience, but ultimately we're not making love ballads. We're not making like a stay-at-home listening experience. We're making music for people to party to and rave to. So promoters and promoting parties and parties, for me, are the most important part of it, to get everyone together. You break artists, you break music, you break new trends, you know, so much important things happen within the party.
Yeah. But without the promoter, you can't go and prove yourself.
You can't.
That's the toughest thing. With a promoter, you can raise your profile as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Now, there's no grassroots clubs. There's no nightclubs. There's no grassroots. Bands aren't playing bands in sort of the places you need to be, whether it's a boozer or whether it's a smaller club or whatever. That's all gone.
Yeah.
So how are the artists now trying to break through to get and play at the festivals? There's a massive gap now. The last 4 years has killed and it's killing the industry very, very quickly. So for anyone trying to break through at the moment, it's tough. And also as promoter, talking to any promoters out there, it's tough for them as well. Like, for example, you can't just go and hire a nightclub. I'll take that nightclub because the club's closed.
Yeah.
You know, to be a promoter these days, everyone, when it turned in 2008, when people could press buttons, like in the old school, when we were doing it for years, I'd get 100,000 flyers and 1,000 A2 posters.
Yeah,
we'd smash everything and get everyone on the doors, under doors, cars, outside the clubs, inside the clubs. That's all gone. In 2008 come along, there was a load of promoters come on the scene because they were pressing buttons on Facebook.
Yeah.
Building groups up. So they had it easy.
Oh, promoting now's easy.
Very easy.
Listen, we come from a time, right? And I always say this to people, the people who started me, they were putting on parties for when it was illegal to put on parties.
Yeah.
In the early 90s, when we was on pirate radio, it was illegal to play our music on pirate radio to get it heard. And the landscape now is so different in the way in which you can promote and the way in which you can gather people. But for me, I'm just like with my DJing, I'm an old school DJ. I play old school music. Everything revolves around authenticity. Even with the new music I play and the new artist I take on, they're doing an authentic thing. But for me, I'm still a real old school promoter. Like, we don't deal with agents.
Same.
It's all the brand is always me as the front person. My missus Sonia as the front person. Whatever we do for our events. The brand, they call them brands now, but the name of the rave or the vibe of the rave, us as people, it's all about the vibe for us. My brain is still in the late 80s, early 90s, that whatever the rules are with agents who dictate, correct me if I'm wrong, Dodge, but if me and you are taking all of the risk, we're the governors, right? If it's our money, if it's our hard work, if we're the ones who need all these people to break even, then the agent and the DJ in this equation ain't actually the governor to be giving.
Very true, but the agent can be a pain in the arse.
That's what I'm saying to you, right? So as a promoter, I don't deal with agents, and we are still very, very organic. Yeah. Everything we do is organic. Like, if the vibe's right, that's us. Yeah. So we, even though we're in the modern world and have survived for 28 years without a year off of promoting, in the same way for 35 years, not a year off from not a weekend off from DJ.
You know what? This is very similar.
Yeah,
I'm 27 years in promoting, any time off.
Nothing stopped you.
Nothing stops. Nothing stopped it at all. What's interesting? It's gone from the nightclubs. Yeah, I had 12 nightclubs around the country every week. Yeah, for a 10-year period. Now it's gone in the festivals. Yeah. So now I never dealt with any agents in the nightclubs. Yeah, I'd have hundreds of DJs on the books. Bam, 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 bam. Yeah. Now I'm in the festival world, coming into year 18. Yeah, costing a couple of $1 million to put on. Yeah, I'm now having to deal with agents. And when you're booking through agents and you want chasing status, or you want rudimental, or you want whoever we've had on over the years, you've got to deal with these people. And it's painful. Because some of them are polite and easy. Yeah. Some of them are just blatantly rude. And I find it hard why someone would want to be rude over email. No niceties, no nothing. That's the price, take it, leave it, hurry up. You go in and you agree a deal, and then 3 weeks later, I've been offered something else. If you don't match that, we ain't go. Like it's
a different world.
It's a different world, and I find it very difficult as a businessman, entrepreneur, being straight and going, yeah, this is cards on the table. Do you fancy it? Create a win-win. Yeah, I'll take it for 40 grand. In, bam, sign. They'll play little games at the end to get another 55 grand or 60 grand. I'm not a fan of that environment.
I'm the wrong person to be talking to about that because of the era that I'm from and because of my unbroken history and success and still being here now. And I know what it takes. I know what it takes to still be putting on parties. I know what it takes to all of the competition, all of the arguments, all of the legal cases, all of the fights, all of the things that go on. I've gone through the 90s, the noughties, the 10s, the 20, through COVID. Yeah. We even put on events during COVID. So I'm just the wrong guy to be going, I'll let an agent talk to me like that because it can't run like that. Yeah. But I'm unique, Dodge, in that my whole thing revolves around my history and my passions for old school rave, acid house, jungle, heritage house music from 88, 89, 90. So ultimately I'm in a very unique lane where I don't need to rely on anyone but what I've done and the people that are still around me from then and now. So I guess ultimately what we're saying as a promoter, if you want to do it for 28 coming up 30 years, that the secret for me is to just be in my own lane and do it my way that I've always done. Because if you look, it's like any business. For me, promoting, you'll know this on the festival scene, it's the blind leading the blind leading the blind leading and it goes up this tree that in the end you could think that I've got 2,000 people in, say, electric, or 1,500 people in electro works, and I guarantee if you're watching me and you're going, I want to be like him, you think I've got 3,000 people at 40 quid and you've done my maths and you think, that's where you want to go. And in the game of promoting, very few people can walk into a club and go, well, actually, he's only got 1,000 people in here. I can see that he's had it really hard.
I can clock every number.
Yeah, you can clock clock every number. Yeah. You can clock from the way they've been promoting in the past 3 or 4 weeks that they're struggling. You can clock that half of them are in here for free. Yeah. And then you look at it, but to the untrained eye, there's 2,000 people in there at X amount of pounds. No one sees how much a DJ costs. No one sees venue. No one sees tax and VAT if you're proper and registered. No one sees all that stuff. And like I say, as a DJ, I've been given the most easiest life ever. I've never had to do a day's work since Labyrinth put me on, right? But I work round the clock with music. Whereas with promoting, I say it's the most important part of what we do. But it's the hardest part. Because you could have the best lineup in the world, but it don't guarantee that you're going to sell out your event.
Mate, I've seen people do the bollocks on having a massive lineup. Someone's put a lineup with 900 grand. I'm like, mate, are you sure?
Lineups don't sell.
Are you sure they don't sell? People, it's all about the experience.
Yeah.
If you create a quality experience, great customer service, quick pint, wicked music, and all the different tents that you're putting on, and then you're cherry on top, you put on a nice little lineup. That's the key as promoters. And I've seen a lot of promoters go bust over the last 28 years. I mean go bust, because what happens, they put on a festival, they come up my festival, say 30,000 people, they go, we can do this.
Everyone thinks they can do it.
They go and put, say, half a bar into their own festival, 500 grand or maybe £1 million. Yeah. They'll lose 750 grand. Then they're stuck. Year two, they're like, ego gets in the way as a promoter. They're like, my ego's here. Everyone's going to think I failed. I'm going to go again. Yeah. Dig themselves into more trouble. They might be £1 million in debt. All of a sudden, they've got to sell shares within their company. It dwindles out. Someone pushes them out, and the festival may fold. Yeah. Now, a prime example was last summer, 2024. 70 festivals got cancelled in the UK. Yeah. 70.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Again, it goes back to that blind leading the blind leading the blind leading the blind. And they all think there's this magical pot of rave. Yeah. Festival gold at the end of this rainbow.
There used to be. Well, do you know what I mean? I have to go back. When you look at numbers at 20 before the pandemic, obviously the 90s were fantastic. The noughties in the club, I got out of the club scene about 2008 when it's the festival scene. Yeah. But if you look at like 20 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Festivals are doing that.
Yeah.
It's on the up. Everyone's buzzing. Everyone had
But there
cash.
wasn't as many, was there?
No, but what I'm saying, there wasn't as many, but they're becoming more and more every year. So every year there'd be more promoters doing festivals. But you got to remember back then, everyone had cash in their pocket.
Yeah.
There was cash floating around. There was abundance of stuff. And all of a sudden, 2020 hit, they took cash out of the system. Everyone was squeezed. You know, a prime example, my festival in 2020, 2 months before, we sold out 30,000. 2 months before, Boris spoke on March the 23rd and went, nothing's going to happen this summer. We're like,
damn.
You know, you've got to think quickly on your feet. You've got to move all those people over to move into next year's event.
Yeah.
Next year's event was meant to be in May.
Yeah.
He wasn't allowed it in May. We had to move it to August bank holiday. It was a lifeline.
Yeah, we had, listen.
And if we didn't have that, who knows what would have happened? You could have gone bang.
We had one of our promotions is called Unity in the Sun.
Unity in the Sun, okay.
which is a rave holiday for 50-year-olds in Corfu.
Okay.
Who are still reliving their youth, holding on to all those memories of 88, 89, 90,
I still
91.
think there's a massive market for that.
Oh, listen.
Clockwork Orange. Clockwork Orange, I went there last summer.
Yeah.
40 to 65, people still having it.
Oh, come on.
Beautiful crowd.
I love it.
All the old house music, it was wonderful.
I love like there's a big heritage house scene, Clockwork Orange, Centerfalls, House and Classics, Houses of Feeling. I play for them all. Like I love them all. I play for them all, right? And then there's like a rave scene of like Moon Dance, Epidemic, Rejuvenation, Rave Story, Unity in the Sun, which is your more early 90s hardcore, right? And that's where my heartbeat is. That's where my whole heritage and history is. So I love it. I love it. It keeps me out every weekend playing to people my age. It keeps the memories alive. But our event, Unity in the Sun, which feeds into that.
What month do you
We do it in May every year.
May in
Corfu.
In Corfu, okay.
So
is that a week thing or?
7
holiday for 7 days and 3 or 4 parties.
Yeah, basically people come for 3, 7 or 10 days, right? And it's a multi-genre rave event. So we have hardcore, we have jungle, we have heritage house. So we have it all. We ain't leaving no stone unturned, right? So before COVID, we were a couple of years in. And we were building to really good numbers, taking like 1,000 people over to this country. Then COVID hit. And like you say, before COVID, your festivals were like that, flying. And COVID come, and the old school promoter in us was like, we can't be beat here.
Yeah.
And somehow we managed to find a way in which we still took people each year in COVID in them 2 years over with us. Yeah. So we were kind of like, we work with our hotels, we work with our venues, and it was decided that, remember when everyone had to sit down when there was a few little summary things where you could go out and sit down, and the same was happening over there in Corfu. And somehow we managed, like a friend who had a venue in the mountains in Corfu, we ended up managing to actually put on parties in COVID. And you know what it was like? It was like one of them personal little moments where, I mean, we didn't take loads of people with us because the event was like that. COVID come, and then obviously, like you with your festival, like everyone, we started losing numbers and had to rebuild them back up. But it was a little personal achievement as a promoter, taking people away during COVID and giving them parties.
Well, if you think about it, over the years, I think I've sold over 1 million tickets to the events and festivals, personal tickets. We're putting smiles on people's faces and bringing people together. That's our job. Have you ever been to a concert, festival or sports match and thought, wow, imagine being the one who made that happen? Well, that's the events industry, the most exciting industry in the world. It's high energy, fast paced and full of wild career opportunities. From live music and sport to brand activations and VIP launches, the opportunities are endless. After 30 years of being in the events industry or throwing parties and festivals, I launched a new business called the Event Crowd to make it really easy for people like you to get into the events industry. We run online diplomas in event management, taught by real people who have been there and got the t-shirt, who are running the UK's biggest events. Whether you're looking for a career change or just curious, it's a great place to start. And more importantly, we help you find jobs. 84% of our students who completed the course have a job within 6 months. I'm so passionate about this industry, and that's why we created this new business. Go and check out theeventcrowd.com, and I'm going to leave a link below in the description. Cheers, guys.
Yes,
you know what I mean. And the amount of people we've made happy over the years, that's where I get my kick from.
Oh, I love that's the whole buzz.
You
for
get paid from it, and you get paid well, and you're doing well and stuff. But the buzz of seeing people's faces, smiling, dancing, forgetting what's going on in their world for 3 days in a festival field, forgetting all the troubles, and just going, mate, I'm having fun with my pals, meeting new people for life. Yeah, like you can't beat that.
You can't beat that. That's been the whole buzz of promoting for me. Like I said earlier, that it's the most important part of music for me.
Yes. Yeah. Tell me some of the raves or parties, or wherever you've DJ'd, you've gone, you know what, that was an amazing experience.
Back in the day, Labyrinth will always be in my heart. Yeah. Labyrinth 2000 AD will always be in my heart because it was such a decadent era and such a groundbreaking era.
What years did they go for?
Labyrinth went from 88, they started in 1988. Yeah. And then I think they went to the turn of 2000, then they had time out, but they come back for lots of reunion raves. Okay. But back in the day, nothing can ever touch that for me. Then there was like the Helter Skelter period at the Sanctuary Music Arena. Those days when jungle drum and bass started becoming big, happy hardcore started becoming big, and all of a sudden the rave scene was 7-8 years old, and you had them eras there. That was magical. That, like, the Sanctuary Music Arena was like.
Where was that? Where's the Sanctuary?
That was in Milton Keynes.
Milton, okay.
And it was magical, and like Helter Skelter, for example, they'd have the Sanctuary Music Arena, and then it built so big they then had the Rollers Arena, which was the roller skating across. Then they grew so big that they had these two massive like purpose-built warehouses with 3,000 people in each. Quality. Then they would make another outside bit with a few thousand people in, and it was just magical. It was like magical. So who's
the promoter of Helter Skelter?
David and Penny.
I'd love to get them two on.
Let me tell you, those
proper
two
characters.
Absolutely. Listen, cool. Joe Labyrinth, David and Penny Helter Skelter, they're people you need on your podcast. And then in recent times, right, is you've probably seen it on your podcast and with your promoting. It weren't like back in the day. Look at those people there with their phone. I used to go raving in 91. I'm a real raver.
Times change.
Times change.
Got to move with them as well.
Times change. And let me tell you something. You mentioned Clockwork. You mentioned Clockstock. I put up footage of me playing at Clockstock regularly, and I could be playing a big tune like Awesome 3, Don't Go, Bizarre Inc., Playing with Knives. And I'm telling you now, some of the reactions from 50-year-old people are better than they ever reacted to them records when we were playing them in places in 1992, right? And some of the stuff that I share on my social media between me and Clockwork can get millions of views. Yeah. And the irony is, old people look and go, there you go, back in the day, no one, look at that, no one's got any phones. Like, sometimes I sit there and reply and go, no, that was only last week. that was only last week. Yeah. And now I think, and this is my eternal optimism and passion and love for what I do, no one can tell me that there's times now that are not as good, if not better. Yeah. And that is for our older generation, because our older generation, their kids are grown up. They've had their life experience, and they're rediscovering what they loved when they were teens. And the energy, especially in the summer, the energy out there is unbelievable.
I've got to say a massive shout out to Danny and Andy at Clockwork.
Yeah.
I got invited out this year, and we were in Covent Centre. And it was the closest open-air club. Yeah. And we're on the stage there. It was the closest thing I've ever seen to back in the day where our space was on the terrace. Yeah. And the atmosphere and the vibe in there. No one had cameras. It was just beautiful.
This year.
You can't remake that. I'm looking forward to going back again this year to see if I can get that feeling again.
Yeah, mate, I love it. Like this year, they've got me over at their Ibiza thing.
Again in July?
And they've got me doing 2 hours at their Es Paradis open air event, vinyl. Yeah, so I'm taking my vinyl over there. Then they got me on the beach on the closing day. I love what they do. Yeah, like
that beach party was amazing as well.
Right.
Where was it called? What was the venue called? We had the beach party the last day. Can you remember the club? Everyone was on the beach. It just went off inside. It was all the beds were outside. Everyone just meeting everyone. It was just a vibe. You could be from Manchester, Wigan, Cardiff, London, everyone, Newcastle. Everyone just got together.
And see that there. See what I'm saying, Dodge? That like our people our age are having just as the way you're explaining that there. Yeah. You've got the passion for that, like you just discovered it in 1992, and that's what I mean. And that's why.
But it's nostalgia.
Nostalgia is so important,
and that's why I do this podcast.
Yeah.
I do this podcast for nostalgia. Whether you are a promoter, whether you're a billionaire, whether you're a gangster, whether you're a drug smuggler, whether you're a celeb, it's about nostalgia. You can't have these age groups, 40, 50, 60, 70, and no one knowing their story, and all of a sudden they're brown bread and your son's put a photo of you on the wall, and then 10 years later you're in the loft and then you're forgotten about.
Yeah.
Like, this is why we're doing this podcast. It's important.
It's important.
And that's why this is going to stay like evergreen for 100 years on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. And these are the reasons why I want to get people like you in and other promoters or other people in the music industry to go, well, look, there's my story.
Yeah.
You know, it's so important.
It is important, mate, because it's been an exciting 35 plus years for some of us.
Yeah. And you know what? I was always, this is funny, right? I was always making a point of never being that dad going, when I was younger, the music was much better. But genuinely, the music was fucking much better in the 90s than it sits today.
Yeah,
as it sits today, like I go and listen to the tunes now, and I'm like, nah. But then I'm thinking, is it because I'm in my 40s? I'm thinking, nah. But genuinely, I think the music ain't as good.
Well, hopefully, me and you are still here in 30 years, so we can hear whatever music's coming out now, whether that still resonates as well. But it's I try not to say I'm like you. Yeah. I don't want to be that guy to say it was better back in our day. But we have got some killer tunes, mate, that have like lasted forever. But my daughter DJs and she plays like 88, 89 in her house sets, and she's like 27 years of age.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the name of that club, on that day club where you'll be DJing. Thanet? Is it Thanet House? Tanit House, something like that. What was interesting, everyone had 6 days partying, and the last day was on the beach where you'll be DJing, playing.
Yeah.
And what happened, I think it got to about 7, 8 o'clock, people been there since like midday, people started drifting off to other things. This whole influx of 20-year-olds coming, all dancing to all the old house music and loving it.
Yeah.
Because they've never been introduced to it. All of a sudden, there's another influx come, we're like, I got chatting to all these girls and boys. They're going, "This is quality." Like it just goes to show that it's timeless. The
vibe's timeless. Yeah, the vibe's timeless. The songs, the tracks, the energy of the music. Yeah. It's like that's why we're still here.
Yeah. Going back to what you mentioned, Es Paradis as well. I remember going back there in the 90s and I went back for the first time. And Clockwork threw a party in there. It was a day party. It was when I think it started at 3 till 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
And the atmosphere was off the charts, colourful, beautiful people having it. And what was lovely, we know when they finished the night or the party, everyone was in there. And do you remember in the club back in the 90s, everyone would leave at the same time, chewing, chatting to people around you as you're leaving the club. Yeah. All these memories come back again. I was like, this is magical.
Yeah, you're our target audience, Dodge, basically. You're exactly why I still do what I do. Yeah. You're why I'm still here now.
But there's a million people out there.
Mate, it is, trust me, it is not, it weren't, like you say, you hear records and think, that is better than now. Yeah. But now is as good.
Yeah. Do you know what's another one interesting? I get a little buzz. If I'm on Instagram, and there was the old 90s parties and someone's whacked a tune on them. Someone had a camera in the 90s. I don't know how that was, but the tune comes on.
Yeah, exactly.
You look at it and you're smiling because the memories are coming again, you know?
Yeah, exactly right.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That's why I still do this.
Yeah, I don't blame you. What raves do you really enjoy? What genre of music was your favourite genre? You've gone through everything. And you'll know, if you bang 35 years under your belt, you're going to know how much you love the drum and bass scene, how much you love the house scene, how much you loved all these different scenes. Which one of those, if you had to pick one, would it be?
Don't do that.
I'm sorry.
Me. That's like Dodge. That's like choosing your favourite kid.
Son.
Come on, mate. Right. The mad thing is,
I tell you what. Put him in the top 3 then.
Dodge.
I've got to. I've got to.
Right.
I've got to.
Right. So when I started. And they say music was all under one roof. It was. We would play the house. We'd play the acid house. We'd play the early breakbeat. We'd drop like a Balearic tune at the end of the set. We may even put like a Running Man hip hop tune in. Yeah. We would play everything. Yeah. Right? But as the times went on, like 1990, 91, 92, 93, before you know it, there's all this different music, and there's progressive house, and there's harder house, and there's jungle, and there's hardcore, and there's trance, and there's techno, and there's all this music. And having a residency every Friday and Saturday at Labyrinth for 5 years, when all of these things hadn't happened yet, I watched it all happen.
Yeah.
Week in, week out, as the tempo's built, as the styles changed. Are you really asking me to? I'm
really asking for your top 3. Start with third, second, and then first. If you had to, there's a gun to your head right now.
When I walked in, I was like, Dodge. Wow, Dodge, this is professional, mate. Me and you, this is it, right?
It's a tough question,
right? Let's go third.
Yeah,
and I'm going to be a bit like I'm going to cheat a little bit.
Yeah.
We're going to put 90, we're going to put 92, 93 and 94 hardcore and jungle in the same thing, even though there's loads of different genres or different styles. So I've just put 4 or 5 different styles of hardcore and jungle as number 3. Number 2, I am going to go like the 88, 89 vocal house, anthemic, like your Promised Lands, your Let Me Love You for Tonight, your Break for Loves, like, and there was a lot of much more unknown vocal tracks as well, like much more soulful vocal track. I'm putting like that vocal style of 88, 89. And I'm regretting this chart right already. And then number 1, I'm gonna put acid, real 303 acid and bleeps and bass of like 88 to 91. I've been a bit conservative here with the years. But it's hard because like I always say I only see one genre, and that's music. That's all I see and hear. And I'm fortunate after 35 years that I get to play so much music. Like it's in the mid 90s, if you become a career DJ, you was aligned to your style. So this is what he's known as, and that was it. You was on your way. But for me, that never sat right with me because I'd gone through all of the music. Now, in this point we're at, it's quite mad when you think that a DJ can go and play a 2-hour vinyl house set for Clockwork Orange at S Paradise, but be just as comfortable going to play for Moondancer a hardcore into jungle set. But then like I could go like at the weekend just gone, I was in Southampton for a more hardcore night, and then it was up to Birmingham for a more old school rave night. So I get to play where I've had so much heritage and history and so much music. Different promoters and different areas adopt me for different things, and it makes my life really exciting.
I was going to say,
it makes it really.
But respect to you to go, okay, I'm not just pigeonholing myself into that. I can do that, and I'm really freaking good at all of them. Like that's a lovely place to be.
It's a beautiful place to be after 35 years, and it's a very unique place to be. There's very few people like who do that. Who can cross like that, and I'm truly grateful for that.
Massive respect, mate. Massive respect. Knowledgeable.
Yeah.
That's your world. Music is your world. Like, live and breathe it. Wake up, live, breathe music.
I'm very fortunate, mate. I'm up at 5 every morning, in bed by 10, but from 5 to 10 it is just music, because I'm grateful that the world that I come from being thrown out of school at 15, all of the things that we'd been through and seen up to that point, here I still am, like, in demand. I'm booked every weekend till the end of this year.
Yeah.
I've got bookings.
Not many DJs can say that, by the way.
And all organically.
And all, okay.
And
is that because you price yourself well? Is that because you're a professional? Is that because you build great relationships? All of them whack together.
All of them whack together, and I also think that I'm very open on the internet. I'm happy to tell stories. I'm happy to give you history of music you never know. I'm happy to play you music that might be the biggest tune of all, and you might want a little bit more underground from me, but if I like that tune, I'm playing it to you. I'm happy to tell you things that you never knew existed back in the 80s in the history of and the trajectory of dance music. Like, I'm a geek, right?
Music geek.
I'm a music geek,
mate.
And it served me well. And every day people are coming in. Can we book you for this? Can we book you for that? And we pick and choose. Like if you're a 200 or 300 people club promoter and we like what you're doing, I'm there.
Yeah, okay.
But if you're a 3,000 or 4,000 people event, and you might be offering me far more money than over there, but I'm not quite feeling what you're doing, I'm not taking it, because I'm in a different space than I was in the 90s or noughties. Like, I don't have to do this for money or to pay the bills, and my kids ain't just been born. My kids are 27 and 30 now. This thing has rewarded me over and over again. So now we're very thoughtful of how, like, I'll never play London more than twice a month, even though London is my heritage. I'll never, like, for instance, if I'm in Birmingham this month, I won't go back there for another 3 months.
Yeah, okay.
That kind of thing. So even though I'm very old school and very old fashioned, there's still a level of organisation, integrity, and making sure everything is spaced out. And where I'm promoter minded as well, I want to make sure
everyone's happy.
I want to make sure that, like I played the other week in Harwich, right? A sleepy little town called Harwich, and the bloke sold it out. It was only a small thing for a few hundred people. It was just me and his mates playing, and it's something I wanted to do, and I wanted to go and do it, and it was brilliant. And you have to work with people, Dodge. When you've been a promoter and you've been through every up and down of promoting, and you're still there doing it, you understand the little guy as much as you understand the big guy.
Yeah, mate, I get it. Totally get it. Do you know why we're here so long? As a promoter, I've always been pay everyone.
Yeah.
Never due anyone a pound note. Pay. Whatever you're left with is yours. Thank you very much. 2,000 people in the club, or 3,000 people in the club, or 30,000 people in the field. Everyone gets paid. And as a promoter, you've got to have cards on the table. I've seen too many fur coat, no knickers.
Oh, there's loads of that in
who
it.
have come and they're gone. There's not many who can say they're coming up to 3 decades, or even someone might be out there who's just done a decade. Respect to you for doing a decade or a double decade. You know what I mean? It's like,
you not only that, but you've got to also stand up for what you believe in. You've got to stand up for what's yours. You've got to believe it. You've got to be honourable as well. Because like promoting's like a really egotistical thing. Everyone wants to say they're sold out. Most people ain't when they tell you they are. Everyone wants to stand on their stage, look out and go, look what I've done, no matter how much dough they're losing. Or, you know, it's a real egotistical game. And when you've done it for as long as we've done it, you realise the ego is just irrelevant. It's not the reason you do this. You do it to push good vibes and connect people together.
And the money will then follow. That's what happens.
Listen to me. Whether it's been in record deals with Ministry, whether it's been putting on events at some of London's best clubs, or whenever I've done anything for money, Dodge,
don't work.
I've never, and I learnt this by the turn of the 90s into the 2000s, whenever I've done anything for money, I always lost money. Whenever I've done it from love and passion is always when it's work. So in that 35 years of DJing, in that 28 years of promoting, I don't do anything unless I want to do it and love it. Like, money is just... trust me, the money's irrelevant because the money isn't in promoting that people think it's in.
Yeah.
If you get it right, you can live nicely and you can have great, and you will get rewarded for having a good eye and a good model and a good vibe for what you're doing. But it's not about the money.
Yeah. But a lot of promoters go into it thinking it's about the money. And what I found of the promoters, their egos get so big because whoever they book, this is a weird game. If they book someone big, their ego goes,
yeah.
Because everyone's like, oh, you booked that. To book someone, all you're doing, you're paying 40 grand or 30 grand, you write an email or whatever it is. Yeah, they've confirmed it. You've booked, you ain't done anything. You're paying the dough. If you're prepared to pay the dough, you can have that DJ. And it's a dangerous game.
It's a very dangerous game.
Because I've seen a lot of promoters do a lot of money and come unstuck and a lot of debt. Yeah. And if they're borrowing from individual people, you're due him 70 grand. He wants a piece of you till he gets his 70 grand back.
I know people have lost their houses through promoting, lost their wives through promoting, lost their friends through promoting, and promoting's one of the only games where it's not something you throw money into and it will grow. You can't buy people. You can't buy people walking through your door. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. And promoting's. One thing that I've learned from promoters, because I've played for thousands in my life and I've put on, I don't even know how many parties we've put on over that period of time. But one thing with promoting, which I've always found fascinating with people, once you work it out yourself, I lost 10 grand. But it's brand building. Trust me, mate. No. You're not brand building. It does not work like that because your party has finished now. And everyone's on to the party next week.
And I won't care about you.
They don't care. I've had this thing and promoters look at me and think, how have you done this for 28 years if that's your golden rule? My golden rule is the secret to promoting is not promoting. And the amount of promoters have gone, can you explain that to me? If you're fortunate enough to still be here after a long time and you get a concept or you get a venue or your lineup and your offerings right, I'm telling you now, when you put that on the street or on the internet, it will sell without you having to do anything. If you get put into the position which 99% of promoters get put in, then that it's not selling. No matter how hard you work it, it will be a struggle. And that's why for me, sometimes, and only time can teach you this, and only the hard knocks can teach you this. When something's not going so good, I don't stress about it. No, I'm just like,
let it be.
Do you know what? Like, you will never see me, even if my party's sold out, you'll never see me say it's sold out. Even if it's struggling, you'll never see me say 1 in 3 for 5 tickets now. You'll never see me do competitions. Back in the day, if you see, like 15 years ago, if you see me do competitions, you know I was struggling. But now, if an event is flopping, and I'll use that word flopping, I'll just shut up talking about it. I'll just leave it there for a few weeks and then come back to it fresh instead of.
Did you have the mindset? My mindset. You say that how many events you put on. Have you ever thought about how many? Because we worked out the other day. I put on 1,500 parties in clubs.
Wow.
Yeah. And coming into my 18th festival. Wow. That's a lot of parties.
Congratulations. And a lot of parties.
A lot of door money. We're taking the door money and the club were taking the bar money. We're getting the clubs that were closed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they were closed. And back then they were the super clubs, 2,500 caps, 3,000 caps, 1,750 caps, whatever they were,
I've never thought about it till
you should have a think about it because
till coming here. And I was talking to Sonia, my missus, who you met, and I was thinking about all the trouble that we've had.
Have you had a lot of ag at your clubs?
We've had ag, but I was saying to her, like, I've never worked out how many parties we've put on if you include record label tours, launch parties, events at Ministry, Electric, Rocket, all Mass, all those places that we've used in London, the tours around the UK, our holiday events. I've never ever worked out how many events, how many hours of good times.
Work it out, though.
We can work it out.
100%.
And how many DJs we've booked and stuff like that. And what made me start thinking about that was equating the thousands of hours of good times compared to the trouble that we've had. because I've never been that promoter who's like, we walked out the rave with bags of black cash. I can't abide by that. In the same way that yes, we've had trouble. Yes, we've had legal cases. Yes, we've had people causing trouble in the events that we've had to make examples of. And as I've got older, they're things that I'm not proud of. But the trouble is nowhere. It's so insignificant compared to the sheer amount of hours of fun and joy that you've given people.
Smiles on people's faces again.
Yeah, but the trouble that comes is part and parcel of it, right?
Of course. When did you really? What music genre really turned it into naughtiness in the clubs in London? Was it the garage scene? Was it the jungle scene? Because it went from people banging these and having fun, and then the drug scene then changed, and then the music changed with the drug scene. It got just the vibe completely changed in a lot of clubs.
When we're going right, you're taking me right back here. We've just been all really happy about
no, but I'm because
it's a brilliant question.
This is an important topic.
It's a really really good question. So, going back to earlier when I said like there was a point in time when the illegal parties stopped, and then from a London centric point of view, we got pushed back into the clubs. And I mentioned those clubs earlier. There was very very few that went on. Now, my time with Labyrinth 2000 AD, which was 1990 to 1995 at the Four Races in Dalston, which was an original reggae club that had been there from like the 60s, 70s, 80s on the front line of Dalston, right? So from the very first off of me being thrown into that world, Joe Labyrinth, Phil Desire, they were from previous to the promoting, they were football hooligans. All the books that were written about West Ham and Tottenham, they were them guys. In the same way now that I'm on centre force with Andy, with Andy Swallow, a great friend of ours.
He's out in Tenerife.
Yeah, we love Andy. I've got a brilliant story about centre force, which we'll get onto in a minute. But I love centre force. I'm on there every Wednesday. But when that world that I come into, it was already shrouded in mystery and problems and gangsters and people taking over doors and all of that stuff. So even in that height of like football hooligans hugging each other, Millwall and West Ham having a little cuddle and popping pills, there was always trouble around. There was always trouble behind the scenes. Like from the moment I started at the Labyrinth, like I remember a couple of instances in 1991 as a 15, 16-year-old, some lads trying to mug people inside Four Races, and me and my old man, after I DJ'd, left there, and further up the road, the lads are there on the side of the street have had their legs caved in with lumps of wood for coming into the club and misbehaving. So it's nothing to do with garage music or what music brought the most trouble. When there's nightlife, when there's drugs, when there is hedonism, you are going to get some unsavoury stuff. It weren't specifically to a musical type, but from very, very early, like there was trouble around raves and events. But what made that era even more mythical is those promoters and those people like your Labyrinths, like your 2000 ADs, like your Eventfuls, like your Fantastic Ibifas and those kind of events. They would police the trouble themselves. And that's what made the raves so exciting and so magical and mythical, because the promoter was the front person who kept this place safe.
But if you go back to you're going back way further. You're going right back. If you're going to 2000s, a lot of the clubs, the old Bill, were closing down garage nights. It got to a point where they were getting naughty. Yeah. Can you remember roughly what year that was?
Wasn't that towards the latter end of the 90s?
I'm not 100% sure, but I know it got really naughty at some point. It was just like, mate, we're not putting that club, we're not putting that event on there because of that and that.
Yeah, I can't really comment because the garage kind of, and you know what? Even big shout out to my old mate MC Creed. Yeah. Me and Creed started together, and I put some footage up of me and Chris the other day from 1991 when we both started together. I started DJing, he started MCing together at Labyrinth in 2000 AD, and I never went in a garage.
You didn't go that direction.
In a garage direction, so I can't comment. Was
there a reason for that?
The hardcore and the rave just took me. Even though in like 1991, 92, we would play what was American garage in with the techno and the house and the breakbeat. Music just split up.
Tell me about the story of Andy Swallow.
Right, so Andy,
another West Ham fan. Big shout out, Andy.
Listen, I love Centreforce is like one of the pinnacles of my 35 years. Right, so when I started in a record shop in '89, all the Centreforce DJs would go, or many of the Centreforce DJs would go in the shop and buy their records. And like Labyrinth, Centreforce was mythical of that time. Like everyone knew that the stories of the football hooligans and the meet-up points and the warehouse raves, it all revolved around, like, especially if you was working in a record shop in Whitechapel, it all revolved around these people who ultimately ended up, over the 35 years, giving me a wonderful backbone. Yeah. And I would be glued to Centreforce. I'd be in awe of all the Centreforce DJs coming in. And I do one of my events called the Rave Story, and where I get people up talking. I do art galleries, and we talk about like the history of rave, and we have art from back in the day. It's just a great concept, right? And about 8-9 years ago, on one of the first ones, I managed to get Andy talking on stage, Joe Labyrinth on stage, other promoters from back in the day, Wayne Genesis, and the guys from Energy, Dave Elter Skelter, all the original legends that.
Who was Wayne's partner? Andrew.
Wayne Genesis, I think it was Andrew, and I got them all up, and it was a proud moment for me because over the years there was all these, and I had to ask a few of them, do you mind if he comes?
Yeah,
do you mind if he comes? I know you like had a bit of trouble during back in like '89, but are you all right to all be on that stage?
That must have been cracking, was it?
Oh, it was brilliant. I've got it all recorded. It was a really proud moment, and I love them all. Like all of them have or most of the ones I've just mentioned I've done great things with them, like Elter Skelter. I had the Elter Skelter mix albums on Ministry, Labyrinth. I keep mentioning Labyrinth. It's that's there, right? Centreforce now. I'm on there every Wednesday. I love Andy. I love his son. So they're all people I've had pinnacle parts with. So Andy come to our Rave Story event, which is why we do promoting to connect people, right? So Andy comes, and Andy's got all the energy in the world, right? And he actually mentioned this on his recent documentary. So he comes, and he's like, "That's it. I'm bringing Centreforce back. DAB without Bunter and Sonia's inspiration." And I would have done and that was his catalyst for doing it, right? It, like you're excited about going to Clockwork Orange, and he was excited. So I was on Cool FM at the time, and me and Eastman, Cool FM from Jungle Fever, we done he's another one who's in my heart forever, right? So we've done parties together. I've helped him with his Jungle Fever. I was on Cool for like 15 years, maybe 10-15 years, Cool FM. So Andy goes and gets his DAB license, right? So my childhood nostalgia is like Centreforce. He's Centreforce. Even at like 45 years of age, wow, Centreforce. So Andy messages me, goes, we've got our DAB license. Fake, like, you've really inspired me. You're the first one we're asking, will you come on? Oh shit. I can't. And I think this is Andy Swallow. This is Centreforce. This is like this is like a bucket list thing for me, right? But I can't because my loyalty is to Cool FM, and I've got a show every week on here. And I said, I can't, Andy. Like me and East, we do parties together. I'm on his station. I can't. Yeah. But I would go back and I'd do guest shows on it. But because they both said you can be on both. You can do both. But it's not I don't know, when you have a bass, you're not going to go and do 2 different podcasts, are you?
Yeah.
As it was, Rinse FM brought out Cool FM. And we all have pivotal moments, don't we, in our careers? We have little life-changing moments. Even at the age and the time we're at now, life-changing things or pivotal moments come. So I was really excited. Wow, Cool's going to Rinse. This is big kind of thing. So the contract started coming through from Rinse, and I started like getting a vision of like the picture of what Rinse was gonna do to Cool, and I was like,
not feeling
this ain't for me. This like, I love Rinse and what Rinse did with grime music and all of the stuff that they done with dubstep and just what they are as like a slick modern day machine, and their heritage back to the 90s is incredible. But it wasn't for me. So then I went back with Cappy in hand to Centreforce, like, can I come on there? Can I come on your...
How was he? Was he receptive?
Oh yeah, come on, they're my mates. I love them to bits. Like, they're sort of like the last of a dying breed of the old school. And
again, Andy, I spoke to Andy. Let's get Andy on again.
You got to get Andy on.
Let his stories out again. Nostalgia. Yeah. More the merrier. Tell me about your book, The Love Dove Generation.
Right, so that book there was written 10 years ago, and so much has happened since that. And at the time, like, I haven't drunk for 7 years. I've been sober for 7 years.
Well,
I've not drunk for 7 years. I'd ballooned up to 22 stone. And I lost...
What, on the booze?
On the booze, eating rubbish, on the travels, like stuff in my face.
22 stone?
22 stone, yeah.
Bloody hell.
22,
what are you now?
15. The lowest I got to was 14.
Congratulations, mate.
Thank you, mate.
That couldn't have been easy, right? What did you do? What made you go, listen, being 22 stone, and I don't know at all, you are 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what height you're. 22 stone is a lump. What was the moment you go, I've got to stop?
Right, so we'll get onto that, and then I'll tell you about the losing weight.
Yeah.
So everything I was doing was... I'm a creative, and I'm very natural with my music. I'm very natural with my promoting.
Creative minds never take a day off, by the way.
Yeah. And how can we?
No, we can't.
How can we, right? So I'm like the DJing, the producing, the promoting. It's all second. It's a way of life. Of course. It's a way of life, right, Dodge? So, and a lot can be said about my life. So, with how I work. So at the time of writing this, I was a heavy drinker. Yeah. The only times you might not have caught me drinking during a day or having a day off, as if I couldn't get a driver for the weekend.
Yeah, okay.
And then I would have to be sensible and not drive up to Manchester or down to Southampton or Brighton or wherever, right? So the only times you'd catch me not drinking is if I was on the road. Yeah. So this book here, people started saying to me, like, God, Dan, your stories, like some of the stuff, your dad, you got thrown out of school in psychiatrist, it's mad, you should write a book. And I started thinking about it and writing everything down, and how young I was starting out with everyone, and even how I met Sonia and how everything went on. And so we put an advert out to find people to write the book with me, and this was pretty much how Unity in the Sun happened, how certain albums happened, how loads of things happened. So we have a meeting with six different meetings at what was the Big Chill in King's Cross. Do you know that place? So Sonia gets, without Sonia I wouldn't be
Same.
where I am, right? So
you need, being a promoter, you need a good missus behind you.
And we'll get on to her in a bit, especially with a big court case we had. She was a driving force to winning it. But we have the 6 meetings here with different people who had written books. But before the first meeting, I'm pissed. It's a pub, the Big Chill, boom, 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 on the piss. Geezer Andrew Woods comes in. And straight away, within like a couple of pints, I'm like, I like you, you're doing it. Yeah. And Sonia's like, you've got another 5 people. I'm like, cancel them all. I love Andrew. Come here, Andrew, mate. Me and you are writing a macking book together. Boom, boom, boom. And we wrote this book, and I was pissed most days doing it, and I was drunk a lot, a lot, really a lot, at all my events. Do you know what?
As a promoter, you were drunk?
Oh, Sonia banned me from one of our events. You got to go home. You're doing my nutting. You're a pest. Okay. Like leave me alone. And just one day, I just woke up and I just thought, I'm sick of this. Yeah. I'm bored of this. Like, I've overdosed on fun. I get all the energy from DJing, all the energy from promoting, all the energy from people going, brilliant set, mate, brilliant. Why do you need to spend 500 quid a week on boozing? Yeah. Why do you need 2 or 3 bottles of wine a day to function? And like, what's wrong with you? Yeah. Like, what is wrong with you? Yeah. Like, your kids have been college, university, they've done the opposite to you. Like, you've had an amazing life, you got gold disc there, you're still with the same missus. Like, what's up with you? Yeah. And I just woke up one day and went,
it's got to change.
Like,
were you using as well?
No drugs. Like younger, when I was younger, non-stop. Well, I wrote a book called Love Dove Generation, but it felt different when I was younger. Yeah. Taking lots of E's and gear and experimenting with Charlie and whatever else. But when I got to my 40s, I was just like,
good time to stop, mate.
Come on, like you need to sort this out. And
one of the chapters in there, chapter 9, Nan's bang on the speed. Tell me that story.
Right. So our family is a family of greengrocers. Greengrocer life is loud, it's noisy. My mum's like got a big family. There's 6 sisters, 4 brothers. It's like a big, loud North London family. And that was 1990. That was the last job I had when I got kicked out of school, and I had my uncle give me a job on the stall. But I was DJing in a record shop on a Saturday, him during the week, Labyrinth at the weekend, and I discovered the ease, the speed, the lot, right? And on the stall was this older fella called Buddha. Everyone had nicknames. Yeah. Everyone had nicknames. Buddha, Bushel, Noddy, Bunter, Copper. Everyone had nicknames. So they all knew that I was getting into the speed and the ease and all that. And when you're going to market at 3-4 in the morning to Covent Garden, then packing the stall out on Wood Green High Road, you're having a bit of whiz in your drink, ain't you? So, and my nan was like that, Catherine Tate. Yeah. That was my nan, right? So, do the tease, you fat little fucker, that kind of thing, right?
Quality.
Right? So I'm like, boom, Buddha. Bit of speed. Yeah, go on, son. It's a bit of speed. Boom, boom, boom. Bit of speed in mine, bit of speed in Buddha's. I've accidentally given my nan Buddha's tea. And my nan's mental as it is. Like, you shut that fucking dog up. You could ask her for a pound, like a pound of bananas. What the fuck? Why don't you have fucking £2? It was like that. Mate, imagine my nan on speed. I'm like, fucking hell. And yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, mate. Tell me some of the tracks that really spring to your mind. You go, do you know what? That is up there for one of the best top 3 tracks of my life.
Do you know what keeps going and going for me at whatever crowd? And his career, Let Me Love You for Tonight. Every time, Baby Let Me Love You for Tonight. It just transcends like decades and decades of house music. And I put it up the other day across my pages, like over 1 million views. Bizarre Inc., Playing with Knives. These are the big tunes. Yeah. Like, I'm a music geek, and when you follow my page, I share rare music that other DJs just go, we never knew that existed, and we thought we know everything. But Career, Let Me Love You for Tonight, Bizarre Inc., Playing with Knives, Awesome 3, Don't Go. Yes, they're big tracks, but what makes them more potent now for me, like when I play modern, heritage, old school and house events, you get a lot of DJs who want to play new remixes of the old tunes. And I've overdosed on music. I do 2 radio shows a week. Music, and I push a lot of new music through the radio. But when I go to a heritage event for people my age, I want to play the originals. Yeah. You're excited when you hear the originals. You don't want to hear some modern day watered down version where it plays a little bit of it, because that's taking the nostalgia away from you.
Yeah, Billy, I've absolutely loved this.
Brilliant.
I've absolutely loved this. What a character.
Yeah.
What a life, mate. To meet another promoter and a DJ to what you've done for 35 years and still have the energy you've got today.
Yeah.
And the stories and experiences.
Yeah, listen, we're blessed, mate.
Yeah, mate, absolutely.
No one ever stopped us. No one ever got in our way. The only person who could ever get in our way is us when we look in the mirror.
Yeah.
There is no stopping us. Yeah. We keep on going. The whole buzz of promoting, and we're from an era. Yeah. If you go back to flyers, go back to pirate radio
I'll
adverts,
take it all day long.
right? What was the vibe of 88, 89? The struggle will continue. Yeah. No one will stop us. Yeah. We will be here forever. Yeah. And I encapsulate that buzz. I take that with me forever. All those people who started me, all those people who give me my break, all those people who struggled, all those problems and issues that me and Sonia have been through. Yeah. I'm blessed.
Yeah, absolutely blessed. Where can people find you?
So on my my Instagram is, well, it's all Billy Daniel Bunter on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and I share music and stories and history and authenticity and passion and love for something that in 1989 people said wouldn't last this long.
And now we're to 2025.
And here we are, all these years later, from 89, 90, still pushing that rave vibe and buzz and ethos.
That's quality. Any promoters out there listening to this, or you know any promoters or DJs who want to come on the show, leave it in comments below. 100%. Let's get more of these promoters on board. Let's start telling these stories. Yeah. Nostalgia that's going to be here for life. People won't hear these full-on stories, you know what I mean?
You know what's sad in recent times, and that's why it's been so important for me to share so much on my social media, even though a lot of like older artists and DJs, social media killed it. No, it never. Yeah. Social media has amplified what we can do. So when we was on pirate radio back in the day, when we was on flyers back in the day, that and tapes, that was our way of conveying our message. Now we have messages, an even bigger reach to convey our message. And for me, we have lost a lot of artists and a lot of friends and a lot of people, and people who are close and like family are getting ill, and we're losing them. And for me, it's so important for all of us to use the tools we've got to celebrate our friends, to celebrate our peers, to celebrate the things that we're passionate about. And I can tell from you when you're talking about your experiences in Ibiza how much feeling that music and feeling that nostalgia means to you.
Yeah. Do you know what another great experience, right? And you forget this because you've been out of the club scene for years. I've been out of the club scene for like 18 years, say. Right. The feeling of me going to find a club in a different city. We had 12 clubs at peak, from Manchester, Birmingham, Leicester, a couple in London, Brighton, Bournemouth, Going into a club for the first time, when it's closed, we've got the manager, go and have a look at the club that you're going to take over. And you walk in there and you go, oh, mate,
still a buzz,
I could throw an amazing party in here. I've got dancers up there, I've got the DJ, these are the people we're getting. Like that feeling. Yes. That feeling that I've forgotten about until someone mentioned the other week. I can't remember mentioning it to me. I was like, wow, I used to love that feeling. Going to get the club, signing the contract for a year, weekly parties every week at that club, take the door money, take the bar money, keeping an eye out, looking after the head doorman, looking after the manager with cash, looking after everyone to protect your party in your club.
I love all that.
Mate, I love all that. But that feeling.
It's that organisational thing in us.
Beautiful.
It's that organisational thing in us where we like gathering people.
Yes.
And that's why I set up a charity.
Yeah. Do you know the biggest shock Do you know the biggest shock of nightclubs when I went from, because what happened in the 2000s, 98 to 2008, I was in the club world. Most promoters in the 2000s, when everyone was having it off in 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, most promoters would then go and buy a club.
Yeah.
Or they'd go and buy a bar.
Yeah.
Very few, like us, went and started a festival.
Yeah, and moved into different areas.
But the difference of throwing a party when the security are there, the bar staff are there, the bar's there, the toilets are there, everything's there, to then going, right, I'm going to hire 67 acres of green land, I'm going to turn it into a mini town.
Yeah.
Like toilets, showers, fencing, marquees, Wi-Fi, insurance, police, council, all these things you had to deal with as a massive, like, I didn't have a clue what was going on. Do you know what I mean? When you first jumped in, but then you got to learn it all.
Yeah, Dodge, right? For me, it's when you're good at gathering people, when you're good at gathering minds, when you're good at creating awareness for something, that's the buzz.
Yes.
The ego isn't. It's not the ego. And I set up a mental health charity, right, during COVID, and everything I'd learned about promoting, gathering people, putting a team together, putting out a message that you're there for people. It's an amazing skill set to know how to promote and gather people and connect people together. And we're a special breed. Yeah. Trust me, we're a unique breed. And also, there's very few people who have lasted for so long unbroken at doing it.
Billy, I've really enjoyed this, mate. We could go on for ages. We really could, man. But this is special.
Yeah. Do you know what? We haven't even scratched the surface.
Yeah. Mate, this is special, mate. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Good. It's nice to talk to another promoter and bring back all these memories. Yeah. Like I said before, let's get some more promoters on here. The rave promoters, whatever you've promoted, get on here and tell your story.
Yeah. There's amazing people. Dodge, can I just mention my charity, my mental health charity, called safespacemovement.co.uk.
Anyone out there, go and check it out. .co.uk.
Safespacemovement.co.uk. My nephew took his life during COVID, and it took me down a road through my music of gathering people. I wanted to help people who are suffering with their mental health, and I gathered an amazing team and created amazing awareness, and we set up this charity. We're now 5 years down the line. We're fully registered. We're a proper charity with a great team, and without music, without this authenticity, without the amazing connections and life music's given me, I wouldn't have been able to set up this charity without it, without what I'd done. And I just wanted to mention that. I couldn't end without mentioning that charity.
Amazing. Anyone out there, go and check it out.
Thank you, Dodge.
Really, absolute gentleman. Absolutely love this fella, and looking forward to see what comes out the other side.
All the best,
good
mate.
Man,
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, mate. My pleasure. Woo! Thanks for watching, guys. If you'd like to see someone on the show, leave a comment below. And if you haven't already, do us a favour, show us a bit of love, press the subscribe button, and it allows us to grow the show even bigger and bigger each week. Nice one.